Hey scrappers, if you're looking to figure out what materials you should sell this week or hold this week, now is the time to do it. Our weekly report is going to give you that information, up-to-date market news, pricing. Let's get right into it. We'll talk about it inside. Scrappers, today is Wednesday, April 12th, 2023. Thanks for joining. This is Tom from the iScrap app, and let's talk about what's going on with the markets over the last week or so, and maybe look a little forward going into April and May, what's going on. So where are we with the markets? Steel market has gone down about $20 per ton over the last 4 weeks. I'm not really overly concerned, if you want my opinion, and I guess that's why you're listening to me, because I give you most of my opinions. Steel prices go up and down throughout the year. So let's say an average steel price right now overall across the country is $200 a ton, right? $20 per ton going down 10%-ish. I'm not overly concerned about that, just because I know that supply and demand are really heavily weighted on what's going on with the markets overall. So I'm not too worried about the steel prices right now. What would worry me, though, is what's going to happen with the oil prices and how those are going to affect some of the steel prices. Now, this week I saw someone on YouTube or on Facebook commenting about how prices in Manitoba, Canada were some of the highest, if not all-time prices, all-time high prices that he ever saw. Awesome. Certain scrap yards will be able to pay some more at certain times, but if you haven't been around scrapping for a very long time, hey, maybe today's the highest prices you ever saw. Where I know that steel prices back in 2007, 2008 were really high for a while. In 2021, they were really high. So if you're new to scrapping, some of the prices you see may be your record high, but they may not be the overall record high. And that's why you tune into iScrap, so we can give you historical trends. We can give recommendations on holding or selling different materials. I saw a bunch of pictures this week that talked about, storing materials. And I saw one gentleman had a really nice 24-foot trailer. And he said right in the comment online that he leaves the trailer on his property. He stores all of his appliances on it. When the trailer gets full, he hooks it up to his yard. It's his truck. He drives to the yard and he cashes in. That's a really great idea. There's a lot of really nice pieces of equipment that are out there that you can get relatively inexpensive, especially if you're only using it once a month. I actually recently bought a trailer myself. Someone offered it to us for a really good price. I had no need for it, but I bought it because having nice pieces of equipment are really great when you don't even know that you're going to need them. So if you do want to hold on to steel, maybe buying a nice 18 to 24 foot trailer would help you out, especially if you're just storing light iron on it. But what we're paying attention to get back to the original point, is what is going to impact the steel prices moving forward. And that's going to be the oil markets. Now, Saudi Arabia recently talked about decreasing their oil production starting in the month of May, I believe by 500,000 barrels per day. Well, that's going to create less of a supply, which is going to start to create higher prices. I saw the other day that over the last month, we've seen gasoline prices increase 20 cents a gallon. Well, diesel prices are going to go up. Gas prices are going to go up, especially going into Memorial Day weekend, the 4th of July, and the summer. That probably is not going to help the steel prices go up anytime soon. But I do not expect to see like a $50 per ton drop anytime soon either. $20 down isn't overly concerning, except if it happens in 2 to 3 month periods in a row. So if April we saw another 20 and May we saw another 20 come off, that's when I may be a little more concerned than I am now. Now it's just normal market movements, not overly concerned. Copper prices, really weird market for copper. We have 5 cents up today for a $4.07 trading, which is around 2% week over week up. Last week we were around $3.99, $4 on Wednesday. So at 407, it's a little less than 2% increase week over week. That doesn't concern me as much. I like having stability in the markets. In the last 6 weeks has been really nice as a scrap dealer, and really for customers, it's been really nice. You, the scrapper, knowing where the prices are, it makes it a lot easier to know what you're going to get instead of, hoping the markets are up or down. So copper prices are really steady, but there's an article that we'll share that I read about a couple of problems that may be on the horizon. A couple of problems. One, there was a strike in Chile, and a lot of their copper production was offline. The strike has been resolved, but of course, those have domino effects. Peru, a very large company known for mining, especially for copper and other metals, they're fully functioning, and with their markets fully being pushed out there, I read that in the article. I think it was 10.6% increase 2021 versus 2022 for their output of copper ore. So that shows that more copper is going into the system, but it also shows large supply deficits are coming down the pipeline. And I'll talk about those for a second outside of just the EV, right? EV, we've talked about, kind of being a dead horse here over the last couple of years. EV, of course, is going to need more copper for the infrastructure, for the charging stations, for the cars, for the solar panels, for the windmills, and whatever other creation. One of the cool ones I actually saw, if you haven't seen the renewable energy through ocean waves, if you want to learn about something really cool, read about how they're trying to produce energy through the ocean. That's one of the coolest things that I've seen out there. I don't care what your stance is on renewable versus, combustible engines. Just seeing the waves creating electricity is pretty cool. So check that out. But copper is going to be in demand. Now, a lot of people have asked us over the last couple of years, hey, has the infrastructure, or will the infrastructure bill that was signed by Congress in 2022, will that affect the scrap prices? Well, if there is any type of supply shortage, that should push the prices higher. But if there's a recessionary fear or a global slowdown, that will push the prices lower. So domestically in the United States, if the infrastructure package starts to actually be spent, because don't forget, just because it was passed last year doesn't mean that it gets spent until a couple of years down the pipeline. So now 2023, 2024, 2025, we'll start to see that money being implemented. That may pick up a little bit of the slag that you're going to see, the slack, not slag. Slag is what happens when you torch steel, all those drippings underneath. That should help the markets, but I still see copper being very strong. What the traders are unsure of is if the $4 holding pattern that we're in right now, if that's kind of waiting for the big upside to hit, or the downside to hit if we do go into a global recession, which many fear that we're going into. And when I read a lot of monetary policy, money policy things that's going on, the US is printing so much money, and we're devaluing our currency so quickly that the world markets are based off of the US dollars, and of course then commodities are based off of the US dollars. So I am slightly concerned about overproduction of US dollars cheapening commodities over time, but that's yet to be seen. We'll see that unfold over the balance of 2023. And of course, it goes from there. Interest rates going up could, of course, slow the economy down. So a lot of things we're looking at with the copper markets. What else is going on? Nickel prices are up about 1%, not a huge change, but we like to update you week over week. What's going on with the nickel prices? Of course, they affect 304 and 316 stainless. If you are a YouTube member of ours and you get some of our special videos, we actually have a free program for the YouTube members to send Rockway Recycling samples of material. So if you want to know what a material is worth and your scrapyard won't analyze it, we'll do it for you. And by becoming a YouTube member, you'll have access to those benefits as well. But stainless steel is based off of the nickel and the iron markets. Both are relatively strong right now. 304 stainless is like in the 40, 42 cent range. We've seen some drop in prices. I also talked to a couple of large buyers of stainless steel, and they're starting to decrease their prices by about 3 cents per pound on oversized, and that means anything over 4 foot long. Now, one thing to keep in mind when it comes to stainless, it's really difficult to cut. I've done jobs before cutting stainless tubes, and we blow through the amount of blades that we use because nickel and iron are so hard and so dense. It really takes a lot of work to go through those. So stainless, the smaller it is, it should be more valuable. But again, if your scrapyard isn't a large stainless steel seller, they're probably not getting premiums on stainless. And how would you know that? Look at the yard. Are there piles of shiny silver metal out there? or do you not see it at all? Big piles may mean larger sellers, means higher prices to you, the scrapper. If you don't see it and there's smaller piles and and the scrap yards are moving material weekly, that may mean that they're smaller sellers. Smaller sellers mean that you're going to have a lower price per pound. Excuse me, allergy season. A lower price per pound, and you're not going to get that premium there. Catalytic converter side of things, we'll talk about that in a couple of minutes. But before I do it, I want to talk about a scrap story, which I'm trying to do every single week. So years ago, about 12-ish years ago, we had a customer call Rockaway Recycling up. And this is really cool. The customer said to us on the phone, I have a 6-foot brass statue that I would like to get removed and recycled. Is that something that you can do? Now, I get lots of crazy calls. I mean, I've gotten calls to buy bridges. I've gotten calls to do demos on factories. I've gotten calls from people that want to sell me material from crematoriums. Believe it or not, dead people have metal in their bodies, whether they're titanium parts or gold teeth. So I've gotten lots of crazy calls. So this call came in, 6-foot brass statue. Can you pick it up? Sure. I sent the truck. I sent a couple of guys because the woman that we were buying it from didn't have the ability to move it. And sure as God made green grass, we picked up a 6-foot brass statue. Now, I'm going to show you a picture of this statue in a second, but I didn't know what to expect. Brought it back to the yard, paid the woman for it, no issues. I sent a picture of it to my dad, right? Not only did he love it, he loved it so much that he asked me to give it to him, which I did because he's my dad, right? He then took the statue. He moved down to Florida when he retired, and he has the statue as a featured part of his backyard. In the middle of his backyard on an elevated platform, he has this 6-foot statue, and I'd like to show you what it looks like. I'm hoping that can we see this okay? So this is what it is. I believe that it's a gypsy lady. If you see over here, this is a small symbol in her hand, and she's kind of holding it like the clappers that are there. One breast is out. That's just kind of there. You're going to see a foot here. You see the big dress and everything. And for the last 10 years, this has been in the middle of my dad's backyard in Florida. And it's one of those scrap stories where, I get some small brass statues in once in a while. You've probably seen them posted. I've gotten little golfer boys. I've gotten eagles, dolphins, lions, and my old man probably has 1,000, 2,000 pounds of these statues inside of his house because he just loves this stuff. Being around scrap for 40 years will do that to you. But again, I'm going to show you one more time. I forget what he calls her. But he actually polishes her with olive oil. He takes olive oil, puts it on a rag, and once a year he'll go and polish her all up. He'll always send me a picture of it. So that's my scrap story of the week. Scrapping a it was brass, it was yellow brass, statue of a gypsy lady from years ago. Last but not least, category-wise, catalytic converters. Scrap cats have actually gone up in the last week. We've seen platinum down slightly, recovered about 1% down. We've seen palladium even, and we've seen rhodium up almost 10%. So we started to see the scrap catalytic converter prices up, inching their way up, and nationally we're almost at $110 per OEM cat average right now. So that's really great. The team over at rrcats.com continuing to quote every day, 10-day price lock guarantees, as well as free shipping on all OEM catalytic converters. And during the month of April, all first-time catalytic converter sellers to rrcats.com that meet the $175 selling rate will get a bonus added to their payment. So check out rrcats.com today. So otherwise, scrappers, I mean, there's another positive week. We haven't seen major news, and that's a good thing. We don't want to see major pieces of news. We want to see little pieces dribbing and drabbing their way in. And over the coming weeks, we'll continue to to answer your YouTube questions, answer your social media posts, see what you're talking about so we can talk more about that. So if there's something you want us to highlight, let us know. If you're looking to expand your part-time scrapping business, we have videos on that. You can become a YouTube member where we have exclusive content that goes to members only. You can check that out as well. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll talk to you next week. Until then, I'm Tom, and I'll scrap you later.
Thanks for checking out this scrap video. For more exclusive scrap video content, please become a YouTube member of our channel today. Thank you, and I'll scrap you later.